So far we have been discussing Pamamda and Appamada, heedlessness and heedfulness, or negligence and diligence. If one fails to abstain from what should be abstained and fails to observe what should be observed, that is Pamamda, and the reverse is Appamada, and they are of three kinds: gross, medium and refined. Now if one's mind is not controlled, one leaves the mind uncontrolled in respect of these immoral deeds, dojritas, then one is failing to do what should be done, that is Pamamda. And if one practices sucharita, moral deeds, then it is bound to lead to purity, kausha and affability. If one fails to do that, it amounts to Pamamda, heedlessness. So from this gross form, we move on to the medium form. From failing to observe dojritas and failing to observe sucharitas, moral deeds, and practicing dojritas, committing dojritas. If one abstains from dojritas, immoral deeds, and practices moral deeds, sucharitas, without forgetting, without neglecting, in a heedful way, that is Appamada, heedfulness, in a coarse form. This is basically good. From that on, we come to the medium form of Pamamda, Appamada, that is in respect of sensual pleasures, kama gunas, leaving the mind uncontrolled as in respect of sensual pleasures, not practicing the restraint, not knowing how to practice the restraint. Instead, one does not control one's mind, one leaves the mind uncontrolled, indulges in sensual pleasures. That amounts to medium form of heedlessness, Pamamda. Otherwise, on the other hand, if one practices restraint, then one will be free from immoral deeds by body, speech and mind, kaya, dojrita, vaci dojrita, and mano dojrita. Such person will never fall into the states of loss, into the lower worlds. It will be the analogy given in the text is when you just throw the six-sided dice in the air and let it fall on the floor or on the ground, it will only fall flat instead of rolling down like a ball in an uncontrollable manner. So this is the analogy given. In other words, one will fall in an assured way. It will not, one's life will not roll down, roll and roll and roll down. It will only fall flat. That means there's assurance in one's destiny. Whether it is the initial becoming or the process becoming, once one is fulfilled with moral conduct, practicing the restraint of sensual pleasures and living a peaceful life, one will be able to conduct one's physical, verbal, mental behaviors in a good way. In this way, one is said to be basically fulfilled with wholesome deeds, and it will be like throwing the dice in the air and letting it fall flat instead of letting it roll down. One's destiny will be assured. This is basic assurance. However, such assurance is not enough. Such state of condition is not enough. We need to practice the refined form of Pamamda and Appamada. We should discuss the refined form of Pamamda and Appamada. Today we shall discuss this. This refined form of Pamamda comes from, or is derived from, the coarse form of mental dukkhacitas. The three mental dukkhacitas, as we have already discussed: avijja, covetousness; vyavada, ill will; and wrong view, vichaditi. Now, as regards covetousness, wanting to possess others' properties, called avijja. If one, this is a mental immoral deed. Now, if one possesses the reverse form of avijja, that is anavijja, not coveting others' properties, break all rules, leading to, from this mental immoral deed of covetousness, one will be led to transgressive immoral actions by body and speech, physically and verbally, such as committing sexual misconduct, lying, and so on. And wishing to enjoy life, one will indulge in drugs and intoxicants. Such is how the refined mental dukkhacitta, immorality, leads to physical and verbal transgression, immoral deeds by body and speech. Now the second mental immoral deed, namely vyavada, ill will, whether you have ill will towards one person or more than one person or many people, seeing the unpleasant aspect of others, then one will only have ill will towards that person or those persons, wishing him to be a dead person. Let him. Why doesn't he die? Or why doesn't she die? I want to see him or her dead, and things like that. This is ill will, anger, and so on. So this is what happens mentally, giving rise to dosa, anger, such as and translating it into physical act, such as killing, and taking others' property by force, or destroying others' properties, lying, indulging in intoxicants, and becoming violent in one's actions, leading to kaya and vaci kamma, unwholesome actions by body and speech. Now, if one is a good person, having metta, loving kindness towards other people, wishing for the welfare of others, wishing for others' prosperity, having sympathetic feeling, compassionate feeling, then one will be able to abstain from such immoral deeds. There will be no ill will, no destruction, no lying, no taking intoxicants, and so on. So, such is how the mental dukkhacitta, when one's mind is not controlled, one leaves the mind uncontrolled, one leaves the mind under strain in respect of these immoral deeds, one will be led to Kaya and Vaci Dikshitas. If on the other hand, if one practices moral deeds, Sucharitas, then one will have only goodwill towards others. And come to the third type of mental misconduct, mental immoral deed, that is wrong view, Vichadeti, not believing in the new becoming, the next life, taking the view that once you die and the body breaks up, that's the end of it, and there's no more becoming. If one has this kind of concept, one will not hesitate to commit unwholesome deeds, akusalas. And one will not also practice wholesome deeds, kusalas. If one believes in the becoming, karma and karma results, and new becoming, knowing that if one commits unwholesome deeds, one is bound to suffer the consequences of these unwholesome deeds. And if one practices wholesome deeds, one is bound to reap the benefits of these wholesome deeds. Then one will not hesitate to perform wholesome deed, and one will abstain from committing unwholesome deeds. So this kind of concept is necessary, is very essential for everybody, irrespective of denominations, age, or nationality. And this is the basis for abstaining from immoral deeds and practicing the moral deeds. Because one has no faith in the wholesome deeds, unwholesome deeds and their consequences, having wrong view, not having proper knowledge, then one is bound to be selfish, doing everything with self-interest. One will not wish to share one's belongings with others. Instead, one will only practice, cultivate envy, avarice. Because one does not know the consequences of kusala and akusala actions, they will only result ill will, cruelty, not knowing that unwholesome deeds will give rise to unwholesome consequences. And one will not practice good deeds like wholesome deeds like metta. There will be no practice of metta. One will not cultivate metta nor karuna, loving kindness and compassion. Then one will be far removed from the mental aspect of kusala deeds. Even if one has some sort of kusala concept, one will not practice kusala respectfully, carefully, or in a serious way. One will just do it as a duty, with expectations for gains and fame. There will be no real dana kusala. There will be no real sila kusala. Sila kusala will be by name. If one practices this dana kusala, offering things, they will not be done in a genuine way. If one sustains moral conduct, sila, that also will be by name only and not in a genuine way. And even when one practices bhavana without this serious concept, then one will be just pretension. It will amount to pretension, not practicing bhavana respectfully, carefully, and in a serious, genuine way. Once one is overcome by this Kammasakata Samadhi, that is the concept of karma and karma results, then everything which is done by oneself will be only pretension, fake, and only by name and not in a genuine way. There will be no genuine dana kusala. Dana kusala will not be done respectfully and carefully. Neither will be sila, practice of sila, nor bhavana. If one practices bhavana, meditation, it will be just very lightly and in a marginal way, not with real devotion. One will be looking here and there, just wasting valuable time. This is because the root cause lies in weak mental energy. For those who understand kusala, akusala, good and bad deeds, wholesome and unwholesome deeds, and their consequences, will abstain from unwholesome deeds, akusala, with full faith and consent, and will not hesitate to perform kusala deeds, wholesome deeds, with full faith and full consent. Let us say when we are performing dana, which is the simplest wholesome deeds, sharing one's property with others or giving away. This is sharing one's property, not with the object of gaining, expecting gains and fame, but with the object of sharing, helping others, so as to fulfill the needs of others. When one gives away one's property, then one becomes detached from that property which is being given away. There will be no Dhamma or less Dhamma. There will be no attachment. Dana means helping others, wishing for the welfare of others, wishing that others may be fulfilled with needs, for others, wishing for the others' prosperity, wishing for others' benefits, not looking for one's own benefit or prosperity. Wishing that others will not suffer from one of things, one of property or things. Instead, fulfilling the needs of others, so that others will not suffer from one of these things. When that is given, this is without looking at one's own interest, not for one's own gain and fame. Pardon me. And wishing only that other people may be happy. Excuse me. Because other people are wanting this material, they are in want of this material, and you are fulfilling this want. You are doing it, performing this dana with metta and karuna, loving kindness and compassion. Then you will be free of lobha, dosa, unwholesome deed, unwholesome mental states, greed and hatred. It will be done with purity, with pure mind. This is sublime, wholesome deed, good kusala. If one does in a simple way, one will only get simple result. If one does in a very serious way, with good, profound concept, then one is bound to gain serious or deep, good results. Whatever kusala deed you may do, you do it with knowledge, so that there will be no ignorance. Ignorance is of two kinds. So this kind of kusala is most effective in eradicating avijja, which is of two kinds, avijja and tanha. Avijja is of two kinds: simple unknowing and misconception, not knowing the truth and knowing things in the wrong way. So this kind of kusala we have just discussed is most effective in eradicating is avijja and tanha, ignorance and craving. And such practice is satipatthana bhavana, which is most effective in eradicating avijja and tanha. But we have to start from simple, wholesome deeds, like this dana, giving away, sharing, with purity, with pure mind and good, noble, pure objectives. Just try and do it. Then you will be free of three unwholesome roots: great hatred and delusion. You will be free in your own right. These three things will be gone from you in their own right, to some extent, if not totally. Then there will be no attachment or less attachment. And you are not expecting any worldly, insignificant worldly gains and fame. In this way, you are reducing your ill will, dosa, another unwholesome state. And since you are performing these wholesome deeds with knowledge, they are knowledge oriented. Hence you will be free from delusion, moha, which is the reverse of knowledge. Thus your kusala deeds, if you do it from the simplest dana, then you will overcome these three unwholesome deeds, unwholesome mental states, lobha, dosa and moha, and such action is anavijja, blameless. You are helping other people, you wish other people to be happy, you want to help others. So every time you perform dana, you are helping others. In this way, you will be free of extreme kind of lobha, dosa, moha. And as much as you are free from that, since you are free from lobha, greed, or very serious form of greed, there will be no avijja, covetousness. This is the mental misconduct, mental immoral deed. You will be free from sexual misconduct. You won't tell lies. You will only speak correctly, rightly. There will neither be dosa, ill will, and no physical transgressive actions by indulging in dosa, because you are free from dosa, anger. There will be no malicious talk, there will be no lying. You will be able to control such transgressive actions. This will open the way to genuine dana opens the way to such things. Then there will be genuine dana, there will be genuine sila, kusala. By doing genuine dana, the way will be open to perform genuine sila, kusala, wholesome deed of morality. Then, walking this path, along this path, you will be able to control yourself, practice restraint, so that you are not defiled, at the same time others are not harmed. That is one aspect of doing good deeds. Another aspect is not wishing to harm others. You control yourself. In this way also, you are not defiled. You do with Metta Karuna, loving kindness and compassion, with sympathetic feeling. You are protecting others. You are not doing harm to others. Instead, you are protecting others, safeguarding others. You should cultivate this good habit from the simplest dana, kusala. Doing it respectfully, seriously, in a genuine way, so as to be called real dana. And then practice sila, moral conduct, in a genuine way, respectfully, carefully, so as not to break. The karma as one's property, or karma and karma result, which is the basic thing, then you will not be able to perform dana and sila respectfully, carefully, and in a genuine way. And you will not be able to abstain from dukkha-ritas. If you practice moral deeds, sucharitas, then you are bound to be pure and free from impurities. You will be blameless, and your behaviors will be affable. Thus, if you do it respectfully, carefully, meticulously, with good appreciation, and appreciating what you are doing, if you are, that will amount to Appamada, heedfulness, and the reverse is Pamamda. In this way, there will be two different parts. For those who understands and appreciates the benefits of Satipatthana Bhavana, they will practice mindfulness of every arising. In this case we call it dukkha satya, the truth of suffering. Everything which arises in the body are dukkha satya, and whatever arises in the body will be noted without fail. Then there will be knowledge. When there is knowledge, there will be no ignorance. No simple ignorance, no simple unknowing, no wrongful knowing. And these two avijja, ignorance, two kinds of ignorance will not have a chance to arise in your stream of consciousness. There will be no simple unknowing, no wrong knowing. Just like when there's light, darkness goes. If one does not know, then there will be attachment. Unknowing, one becomes attached. Knowing, one becomes detached. That is the same. If one does not know, that means if one does not cultivate knowledge, there will be only attachment. And if one cultivates knowledge, the attachment will be gone. One will become detached. So this attachment, detachment depend upon knowing and unknowing. If we note whatever arises in the body with energy and precision, meticulously, continuously, whatever arises, which are known as dukkha satya, from the basics, cultivate insight knowledge from the basics, progressing through the insight knowledge. Every time you cultivate knowledge, the ignorance will be gone. The unknowing, simple unknowing and knowing in a wrong way will be gone. They will be gone by not being given a chance to arise in your stream of consciousness. Every time one knows, every time one cultivates knowledge, this attachment and now also will not have a chance to arise in your stream of consciousness. This is the benefit. As you cultivate insight knowledge, as you progress in your insight knowledge, then avijja and tanha, these two unwholesome mental states, ignorance and craving, will be gone, will be abandoned. Or at least, in this case, on a part-time basis, that is during the practice, by not being given a chance to arise in the stream of consciousness. So Satipatthana is said to be most effective. It brings the maximum result in eradicating these avijja and tanha. So one should understand that and practice seriously, meticulously, so that one will be able to overcome craving, anger and ill will and delusion, raga, dosa, moha, as is given in the benefits of the great discourse on the mindfulness, practice of mindfulness. Overcoming raga, dosa, moha, craving, anger and delusion, and overcoming impurities such as lobha, greed, overcoming physical pain, mental distress. All these things have been assured by the 7 benefits of the discourse on mindfulness. It is quite significant. It is no trifle matter. If one understands this, one is bound to practice respectfully and carefully. If one does not understand, or if one does not believe in it, then one is bound to practice lightly, in a marginal way. So if one does not this practice, high-level discipline, is the most effective in eradicating avijja and tanha. If one practices respectfully, that will be Appamada, and if one does not practice respectfully, meticulously, lightly, in a marginal way, then one will be Pamamda, heedless. So what will such a person do, such a yogi do? He or she will go about in a relaxed manner, relaxed attitude, with Pamamda. As for Appamada, one is very serious and respectful in the practice of this kusala. When we are practicing with heat, in a heedful way, Appamada, even if you see things, you must pretend not to see them. You must pretend that you are blind. You have no eyes to see. Even if you hear sounds or noise, you must pretend as though you have no ears to hear, or you must pretend that you are not hearing anything. And even if you have general knowledge, before you came here, you must have read something or heard something. If you have general knowledge, you must pretend that you are dumb and not use your general knowledge. Instead, you should follow the teacher's guidance meticulously. And when you're moving about in all these 4 postures, instead of moving it quickly like a strong person, you should pretend to be a sick person, move slowly like a sick person. And when you experience unbearable, excruciating sensations, you must not note to let it go away, to let it disappear. You must practice it at the risk of one's body and life. You should not be afraid of physical pain. You should be heroic. You should not be afraid of affecting your life even. And you must even pretend that you are a dead person. You are not feeling anything. Such is the kind of perseverance and courage that you should possess. Otherwise, you will be failing and neglecting in the practice of the high level discipline of the way of mindfulness. If you're not doing respectfully and carefully. Once you practice respectfully and carefully and meticulously, then practicing the activity of mindfulness in a meticulous way, not to miss even a small object, even a single object, then every second of the practice of the time, then you are said to be heedful, Appamada. That is how it has been given in the text, and such is the meaning of Pamamda and Appamada as it applies to the practice of bhavana. So understanding this, one should not practice heedlessly, but one should practice heedfully. Then only one will be able to uplift one's life. There's another aspect of the refined form of Pamamda, heedlessness. When one is practicing this blameless, high-level discipline or way of mindfulness, one should be able to practice continuously and without gap, so that the preceding mindfulness is continuous with succeeding, and the preceding concentration, samadhi, is continuous with succeeding samadhi, so that there's no gap. Instead of just doing like sometimes you're noting, and sometimes you're not, at other times you're not noting, and there are leaving gaps in the practice. Then when there are gaps, then you'll be missing this mindfulness. That amounts to refined form or a minor form of heedlessness, Pamamda. Although it is not committing debauchery, immoral deeds, nor leaving the mind uncontrolled in respect of sensual pleasures, but you are not practicing continuously in respect of the high level discipline or the way of mindfulness. Missing your mindfulness sati, such is refined form of Pamamda, heedlessness. You should practice continuously without stopping, without resting. If you are doing, sometimes you are lying idle, and sometimes you are thinking, gazing, or being spaced out, stopping, and so on. Then, even if the body is stopping, kilesas are not stopping. They are continuing. They are rising all the time. So, if you stop, kilesas will carry on, will go on invading you. So you have to note continuously, so as not to allow kilesas from invading you, so as not to allow the impurities to come to you. Otherwise they will all attack you and invade you. So as not to happen that, yogi should do it continuously. Otherwise one will be failing in one's duty. One will be said to be negligent or heedless. So if one is failing in one's duty, this will be Pamamda, heedlessness. And in the practice of the high level discipline or the way of mindfulness, if you do it respectfully and carefully, meticulously, in a way expressed as nirantara, that is without any gap, continuously, without stopping, continuously, then you are said to be heedful, Appamada. Knowing these two kinds of Pamamda and Appamada, what is Pamamda and what is Appamada, what is heedfulness and what is heedlessness. If one practices like stop and go, and discontinuously, then one will be Pamamda, heedless. And if one practices continuously without gap, then one is said to be heedful, Appamada, by which you are bound to realize the benefits of the practice. There is this Vipassana maxim, being not noting, without mindfulness, kilesas will enter, kilesas will invade you. Or kilesas will invade you if you are not mindful. Whereas kilesas, you will be free of kilesas if you are mindful. That is the maxim. That is to give you a moral. Let us say you are watching the abdomen and noting rising and falling. Suppose there are no other objects at that time, and rising and falling is your main primary object. You are noting not to miss it. Now, if you are not activating mindfulness, instead you are just spaced out on thinking other things, missing the objects. Every time you are not noting as it rises, you are not noting as it falls, then you will be missing. This is Pamamda. Every time there is rising and falling, you have to be mindful. If you are not able to do it, that is, note rising and falling every time it rises and falls, kilesas are bound to enter your stream of consciousness. That is what is meant by being not being mindful. Kilesas invade you. Kilesas attack you. Then what will happen? Not only that, you will allow kilesas to enter, but your mind will be deluded, not clear-cut, and not knowing the truth, not knowing properly. That amounts to moha, delusion, or avijja, ignorance. If that amounts to not practicing respectfully and carefully and meticulously, not practicing continuously, but instead practicing stop and go method. You are not detesting loss of mindfulness. You are not fearing loss of mindfulness. You are not detesting the kilesas entering your stream of consciousness. You are not detesting, you are not fearing the entry of kilesas in your stream of consciousness. You are not appreciating the benefits of Satipatthana practice by allowing akusala to overwhelm you. Then you will be lacking these two wholesome mental states, hiri and ottappa, moral shame, moral fear. Instead, there will be moral shamelessness, moral fearlessness, ahirika and ottappa, which is the reverse of hiri and ottappa. You are not shame. You don't feel ashamed of losing your mindfulness, sati. You are not fearing. You are not afraid of losing your mindfulness, sati, so that kilesas enter your stream of consciousness. If you are not mindful in this way, if you are not meticulous in your practice, then your noting mind, your mind will be removed from the object of attention. Instead, it will be thrown away, cast away, especially for those who are very imaginative. For imaginative type of yogis who are prone to fantasies, then he or she will be overcome by uddhacca, restlessness, and vikepa, will be thrown away. The mind will be cast away. It will be away. At least you will be invaded by these two unwholesome mental states, ahirika, anotapa. Lack of moral shame, lack of moral fear. That's why it is said that if you are not mindful, kilesas enter your stream of consciousness. Whereas if you are mindful, with energy and precision, meticulously, activating your mindfulness, sati, then kilesas will not enter your stream of consciousness because your mind is protected. That is the property of sati, areka, or avarana. It is preventing the kilesas from entering your stream of consciousness. And that leads to koti, security. Then you will have freedom, vimukti, which will lead to peace, santi, at least on a part-time basis. That's why it is said in the maxim, by being mindful, you are free of kilesas. Because your mindfulness is arising and kilesas have been prevented from entering. So that there is security and there is freedom and peace. Peace, momentary peace. So as you are practicing mindfulness, your noting mind is concurrent with the object. Every time your noting mind is concurrent with the object, you'll be cultivating knowledge. Then your mind will become pure, free of impurities, free of moha, delusion, lack of clarity, free of lack of clarity, or your mind will be clear because your mind is free of impurities, free of moha, delusion. And your mind will be free of ahirika, anodapa, two unwholesome mental states, lack of moral shame and moral fear. Since your mind falls calm and collected on an object noted, there will be no uddhacca, restlessness. And every time you are mindful, kilesas will not enter, and there will be only kusala, wholesomeness. This is not ordinary wholesomeness. This is real blameless, high-level wholesomeness. If you practice continuously, respectfully, carefully, meticulously, without stopping, continuously, without any laxity, then you will be said to be heedful, Appamada. As is given in this expression, when you are practicing high-level discipline of wholesome deeds, such as the practice of Satipatthana, you tend to shrink, require, just as when you are sprinkling salt on the earthworm, it shrinks. You don't want to exert your energy, instead you become wearied and exhausted. Then you will be laid back, and you don't want to you'll be easygoing. There will be not enough courage to confront this practice, wholesome practice, or to undertake this wholesome practice. Saying to yourself, complaining to yourself, oh, that's too much of this practice, so many hours a day, there's a wake-up call at 3 o'clock in the morning, and there's a bell ringing and all reminding and pulling you out from the kutis. So this is quite wearisome, and there's no freedom at all. In this way, you tend to shrink, you tend to require, you can tend to become exhausted and wearied. Then you'll be laid back because you're complaining to yourself. This amounts to heedlessness, pamada. And if you're not of that type, you are appamada, heedful. This will be discussed tomorrow. That's all. Sadhu, 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 5